I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Nerds, I have some exciting news to share. We are now offering a monthly subscription service for our listeners. For the low price of $2.99 per month, subscribers will gain access to 2 bonus episodes and an invitation to a Zoom gathering. Additionally, subscribers who sign up for our email list are eligible to be entered into a monthly prize drawing. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link in the episode description today to get started. Nerds!
Nerds.
We're here, sitting in my living room. We were going to record elsewhere tonight, but time has not forced us, but time has led us to this life path, or this bend on the life path, as they say. I don't know who they is in this equation. They say a lot of things, you know, but who is they?
The government.
Guess what, guys? Surprise! We're talking about conspiracy theories tonight. Has the government been hiding aliens from us for 50 years? Oh no, excuse me. What is it? 60, 70, 76 years since the Roswell incident. Do we know for sure? You might be surprised.
Mothman is Bigfoot's baby. Bigfoot
got together with a condor or something. Mothman
It
was
was
a
an
result.
extinct condor. It was brought back to
Oh, no.
Park Tank.
There apparently is.
Baby.
There apparently
There's
is
a Mothman here.
There's apparently a bat the size of a human being in a country somewhere. We saw it on Instagram, and Instagram never lies. You know,
Never.
Never.
I want to see this now.
But no, I think it's the. There's a page I follow called Interesting as Fuck, and it's a guy. He does like weird science stuff all the time and some fascinating things. And I think one of his posts, I think it was from his channel or his was about the man-sized bat or the man bat.
Man bad.
Not to be confused with Batman, but there is a man bat in Batman. But I digress.
There's
So-
also a woman bat.
A woman bat?
Uh-huh.
Batwoman? Batgirl?
Woman bat.
Woman bat.
Yep.
I've not seen this.
That's when Man Bat's wife becomes Man Bat.
Becomes woman bat?
Yeah, that happened once.
Okay, that makes sense. In the comics?
In Gotham Knight, the video game.
Gotham Knight the video game. Okay. I have not played this. So my daughter's here as well. She's our third host.
Yeah.
What did you think of the movie tonight? By the way, we're not talking about aliens, obviously.
Are you ready for a podcast that's everywhere all at once, all at the same time, and I didn't get the name of the movie right?
Everything. Everywhere, all at once.
All at once. And so is this conversation.
It's a great title for a movie, by the way. I love it. And yeah, this we're kind of following a little bit of a theme here. Like last week was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was a multiversal movie, and this is yet another multiversal movie produced, by the way, by Joe and Anthony Russo, who have not done a multiverse movie for Marvel per se, but they did do Infinity War and Winter Soldier and Civil War and Endgame. So those definitely tie into the multiverse eventually, but I guess technically they didn't do a multiverse movie.
But you would say that seeing their names in the credits feels like they're doing everything everywhere all at once.
I know, like I've seen them in so much stuff. Like, for instance, my wife and I are currently watching a series called From on MGM Plus, which if The Walking Dead and Lost had a baby, it would be From.
It's an ugly baby or pretty baby?
Both.
Okay.
It's both ugly and beautiful. Yeah, it's basically
it's ugliful.
It doesn't have zombies, but it does have weird demon creatures who masquerade as humans until they get ready to eat you, and then they turn into their true selves. And
No.
yeah, my daughter wants to grab our mics, so we're using our lapel mics tonight. New purchase, actually. I think we only used them once or twice, so we're trying them out again in a different setting. Anyway, we're here to talk about everything, everywhere, all at once. So, what is this movie? If you haven't heard about it, I'll tell you. So it is a 2022 American film written and directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, so Double Dans, who produced it with Anthony and Joe Russo and Jonathan Wang. The film incorporates elements from a number of genres and film mediums, including absurdist fiction, comedy drama, science fiction, fantasy, martial arts films, immigrant narrative, and animation. And yes, all of those were in it. Like, we just finished it, and yes, like, every single one of those genres pops up in this.
My life is made better by watching this film.
I know. This movie was great. Like, so initial reactions and our Nerd Hat ratings. How did you feel about this film?
It was fresh.
Yeah, it's not quite like anything you've seen before, right? Like, it's...
Yes.
I mean, it is definitely a mashup of all of those genres, but it pulls it off.
I laughed so hard that I got dizzy.
Yeah, he did. Like, he was about to fall off the couch at one point. Yeah, let's just say that there's a scene with a jumping man and a pointy object, and it involves holes, and that's all I'll say.
But not the movie Holes, which is also good.
It is also. That is pretty good. Shia LaBeouf.
Was that him?
In his early days.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
You told me that, and
this was after what's that Disney show he was on? That's where he got his start. Darn it, can't think of it. I cannot think of the name of it. He's on a live-action Disney show, and that's where he got his start. But not long after that show, he was in Hole. Anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, there were some holes involved in this film, and it's like...
Some orifices.
It hurts a little bit, but it's hilarious. Like, you're just like...
Does it hurt us or just them?
You have to, like, sympathetically wince, and at the same time you're laughing out loud, and you're like... Oh, man.
I don't think I winced. I think I just laughed.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It's like, there's definitely there's a little bit of anime in here in terms of like fight style and like camera angles and whatnot. There's martial arts obviously all over this, you know. And you got Michelle Yeoh, you know. Not that everything she does is martial arts, but that's kind of what she's known for. Like, that's how she came to fame.
You know, I just recognized her name. Isn't she coming to Disney Plus in American Born Chinese?
Yes. Yeah.
I have that graphic novel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
It seems like the show's going to be different, though.
I have not read the novel, so I couldn't say.
Was
it
graphic
good?
Novel.
Oh, a graphic novel, okay.
Well, I know in the graphic novel her character is a male.
So they changed
just
a little bit.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I have not read the graphic novel, but yeah, that's another thing she has coming out, and I don't know if she got nominated for an Oscar for this. I know that her co-star, I think, won the Oscar, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if it was for supporting actor or I guess he was technically a supporting actor.
You mean this film that we just watched?
Yes.
Cool.
Anyway, so initial impressions, I loved it. I think this is like near. I feel like this is like near perfect. Like,
yeah, I know.
I still haven't given out a 5 to anything, but this is pretty darn close. I think I would also give this a 4.75. It's definitely up there tied with Avatar: Way of Water and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. As just that hits on all cylinders.
It does.
Because you got action, you got comedy, you got drama, and just absurdity. It's
Absurdity.
absurdity, and
I love that absurdity humor.
it nails all of it. Like it pulls it off. Like, and some pretty cool camera tricks as well. Like, there's not much CGI in this at all that I could tell anyway, but there's a lot of camera tricks and stuff. Like, it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm pretty sure that her muscular pinky was CGI.
Yeah, that was CGI. Yeah. The
Flex the muscle.
The wushu pinky.
Pinky muscles.
Let's see. So who's in this thing? So obviously Michelle Yeoh is in this, and she stars as Evelyn Quan Wang, a Chinese-American immigrant who, while being audited by the IRS, discovers that she must connect with parallel universe versions of herself to prevent a powerful being. I'm gonna get this wrong just as she did, but Kabuki?
Jobu.
Kabuki?
Taekwondo. I don't remember, but she got it wrong in the movie too.
I know. Jobu. Oh yeah, Jobu Kabuki, I think.
Kabuki.
Yeah, which at one point she calls it what? Juju Chewbacca at one point, and like...
You're just making up words now.
She just gets it. Anyway, so Michelle Yeoh, so she's trying to prevent this powerful being from destroying the multiverse. The film also stars Stephanie Su, Kehua Kwan, Jamie Lee Curtis in a hilarious role, I thought, Jenny Slate, Harry Shum Jr., and James Hong in supporting roles. So let's see, awards. Okay, so this garnered widespread critical acclaim and is currently estimated to be the most awarded film of all time.
Wow.
Dang. Winning a leading 7 awards out of 11 nominations at the 95th Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actor for Kwan, Best Supporting Actress for Curtis, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. It also won 2 Golden Globe Awards, 5 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture, a BAFTA Award, a record 4 SAG Awards, including Best Ensemble, a record 7 Independent Spirit Awards, including Best Feature, and swept the 4 major Guild Awards. Dang. So this was even more successful than I thought. I knew it did well, but I didn't know it did that well. That's impressive. Like, I want to say the only other film that's come close to winning that many Oscars was Return of the King, which I think it was kind of like a recognition for the whole trilogy in a sense.
Yeah.
But I know it won quite a few. So yeah, that's impressive.
I'm going to go with you and give this a 4.75.
Yeah, it's about as close to perfect as you can get without saying it's a perfect film. Like, to me, 5 is like perfect, and maybe I don't know if I'll ever give that out, but this one comes close.
You're like my boss's boss at work.
Oh, yeah?
Can't give out the candy just to anybody.
I know, it's like, there's a lot of films that I feel like I haven't seen the perfect movie yet.
Yeah.
You see a lot that, like, comes close. It's like, and this one definitely did. Like, you know, it makes you cry, it makes you laugh, and it gets you thinking about some very deep, philosophical, very meaningful points. You know, like, like the meaning of life.
Yeah.
It gets very, I don't know if existential is the right way to say, but like, what is the nature of existence? Is there any meaning in life? You know, it definitely walks down, like, you have one character who's struggling with nihilism.
Yes.
And the other who is also struggling with it, but in a different way. Like, she's not necessarily thinking of, which is a spoiler warning, by the way, you know, with this film. So,
spoiler.
Yeah. The one character that's thinking of ending her life, basically. And this is represented very symbolically in the film, and comically as well, which it's amazing. It's really hard to make that balance where it's like both funny and it, like, I guess the humor in a sense almost accentuates the drama, because it kind of, your guard is down and then it like wiggles in. It's like it grabs you.
Yeah, the people who made this knew what they were doing.
Really good, very well written.
Yeah, very well balanced.
Yeah, like, and the action was really well done. I'm sure they must have had like some top quality martial arts directors. I mean, obviously Michelle Yeoh could probably choreograph a lot of the stuff herself. I would imagine she's been doing it for so long. But yeah, it's just. So yeah, we both thoroughly enjoyed it. So I thought we could proceed by reading through the plot. This is off of ye old Wikipedia, and then we can pause as we're going along and talk about different parts of the film and what we liked, what we enjoyed, what we're moved by.
Very moved. It was a very emotional film.
I know, yeah, it's like...
I was joking, but yeah.
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean,
it
does.
Gets emotional.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Like a couple of scenes I almost cried, which for a man...
Oh, really?
Which for a man, that counts. You know what I mean? Like, if you almost cry as a man, that counts as crying, right?
Yep.
You know, it's like the tears come, but they don't trickle down. You know, it's like you feel the emotion.
Suck it back into our duct.
You just suck it back. Oh, man. So, what's the plot of this thing? So, Evelyn Kwan Wang is a middle-aged Chinese-American immigrant who runs a laundromat with her husband, Waymond. I feel like that's a bit of a joke.
Waymond.
Like Raymond. Instead of Raymond, it's like Waymond.
Yeah, I feel like I felt that way too.
Waymond. So 2 decades early, they eloped to the United States. And then after opening the laundromat together, they had a daughter whose name is Joy. So we get, let's see, I'm trying to think, like, the earliest, like, the opening of the film was interesting because it shows the mother and father and their daughter, you know, in a mirror at night, like they're laughing and having a good time. It's like slowly zooming into the mirror, and then all of a sudden the scene switches to daylight, and the image is gone.
Yeah, I feel like we would have to rewatch it in order to get everything. But now that you're saying it, and this is a spoiler for those listening, maybe the mirror is symbolic of the donut. Not the donut, the bagel. Whatever. It's
yeah, and there's definitely some priming there, like when the IRS auditor circles the karaoke machine receipt, she like does a dark circle in pen, and my daughter wants to join us in our podcast. But yeah, you definitely have some foreshadowing in there. I imagine it's supposed to be like on some level, like the circle, maybe the circle of time or the circle of life.
I think it's just an everything bagel.
Yeah, it is quite literally a giant.
I don't know. Do you think they put more meaning?
Bagel.
Do you think they put more meaning into the bagel than just it being an everything bagel?
There might be. I mean, obviously, circles, you know, in different traditions symbolize, you know, like eternity or time or things like that. So I'm sure they were playing with some of that a little bit.
Eternity was a lyric in the end credits song.
Yeah, but I love that they kind of made a joke out of it too. It was like it's just a giant floating everything bagel.
Yeah,
it's sort of like a black hole, but not at the same time. Like, well, that was interesting. Let's see. So, zooming back into the plot here, in the present day, the laundromat is being audited by the Internal Revenue Service, which the auditor played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and I thought she did a really good job. Like, she's good at comedy. It's just pretty funny. What'd you think of her performance?
The auditor?
Yeah, the auditor.
And who was she again?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I thought that was Jamie Lee Curtis, but
she looks a little different. Like her makeup.
A little different.
And I don't know if that was a fat suit or if she gained weight for the role. She was a little overweight.
The whole movie, I just wanted to turn to you and say, is that Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah, that was her.
Well, she did a really great job. The most memorable scenes in the movie were hot dog fingers.
Yeah.
But still.
Oh my goodness. So we're jumping forward a little bit, but as you get to know, throughout the course of the movie, you get to see scenes from different parts of the multiverse, different universes, and one of them, humans evolved to have like floppy hot dog fingers. And it's
that squirt ketchup and mustard for some reason.
Either that or they squirted on there at some point. You just don't see that part. I don't know which, but that's part of the absurdist stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
like the absurdist fiction. But
it all ties back together surprisingly and impressingly.
What's hilarious is like they're talking about like how did that universe come to be? It's like I don't know. Maybe it was a. Oh. Hey, kiddo. It's okay. She wants to grab my mic. No, you can't have my mic. No.
What was that film where that older film where all the monkeys are screaming and dancing around the obelisk?
Planet of the Apes.
Oh, really? I thought it was
wait.
Space Odyssey or something.
Never mind. Yeah, 2001: Space Odyssey.
So.
Joker here. I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about the Irreverent Nerds. They're sitting here in my hideout, all tied up. So they can't say this themselves, but they would like you to know that there are multiple options by which you can connect with them. Their Instagram handle is @irreverent_nerds. They're on Facebook and YouTube as simply the Irreverent Nerds. Ugh, so pedantic. And of course, they are on your podcast app. If you listen on Spotify, scroll down and you will see a question. What did you think of this episode? They welcome your feedback, or so they told me. They also post episode-specific polls and questions from time to time, so please feel free to jump in and give them your 2 cents while they're still alive. All right, nerds, I've talked enough. Let's get back to this week's episode. It might be their last.
That kind of reminded me of that, except the monkeys had hot dog fingers.
Yeah, and they were like, it's hilarious. This is absurdist too, I guess. Like,
yeah,
they're like maybe it was a branch in the evolutionary chain in that universe, and they show these apes, I guess apes, with hot dog fingers, slapping shit out of apes that have regular primate fingers. They're just like. He's just slapping them with the hot dog fingers. It's hilarious.
That's how they became the dominant species.
Yep, they beat the other species. They
their hot dog fingers.
They conquered them. They just slapped them to death with their hot dog. Speaking of being slapped with hot dogs. Oh my goodness. So giant rubber phalluses are used as a weapon at one point. That tells you where this movie goes. Like, not to mention the jumping on the pointy objects, and
that was hilarious though.
It was. The other one, I don't know if it was hilarious so much as it was uncomfortable. It was like should I laugh at this? This is a little uncomfortable. Which part? The giant rubber phalluses.
I know.
Those things were like 2 feet long at least. It's like she's like using them. She just made them appear out of nowhere. This is the main villain character. Can like manipulate the different universes and bring certain things into. I don't know if she's bringing it out of another universe. I guess. Yes. Into the one she's in, and she's just like slapping the crap out of a guy with. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the wife and I were going to watch this when it first came out, but I'm kind of glad we didn't now.
That would have made her uncomfortable.
Yeah, that one scene probably got the film its R rating.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I guess the F word is said more than twice.
Oh, well, that's true.
So if you get more than, I think it's more than 2 F words. Definitely more than one. If you get more than 1 F word, you get an R rating, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Because like I've seen a few movies where literally the only reason it was rated R is that there was like 2 or 3. There was like 3 F words instead of 1. There's like no violence, no sex scenes, no nudity, nothing that would normally accompany a rated R film. But because it has 3 F words, like suddenly, ba-bam.
So you would say this is probably more of a PG-13 movie with a few F words and some dong.
And some dogs.
I said it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, that being said, yes, the rubber phalluses are very uncomfortable. But I don't care who you are, the blurry, pantsless security guard in the orifices was... if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. But that was hilarious. I don't care who you are.
So sorry we're jumping around. We're not exactly following the plot, but that's okay.
We're talking about the most uncomfortable, weirdest things in the film right now.
Oh my goodness. So
if you
to give a little
like
context, so there's these. So this is connected to the plot, obviously. There's these people from the Alphaverse, as they refer to themselves, like I don't know, the Prime Universe, or at least they think they're from the Prime Universe, and they're fighting this war with the character Jubu. I want to say Sudoku,
but Chewbacca.
Jobu. So anyway, Jobu. I'm gonna call it Jobu. That's easier to remember. Jobu from their universe is trying to, they think, destroy all the universes. So they're at war with her, and they're trying to find a particular version of what we eventually find out is her mother in another universe, obviously Evelyn, played by Michelle Yeoh. And her husband from the Alphaverse finds her, and they're able to connect to the consciousness, at least temporarily, of their counterpart in another universe. So they travel, in a sense, through consciousness in between universes. But in order to, in a sense, download, and you can download skills, kind of like the Matrix, in a sense. You can download skills from your counterpart in another universe. But in order to do that, there's these certain steps that you have to follow, and then you click a button on your Bluetooth headset. Yeah, they're like these Bluetooth headsets, like it would turn green when it was ready to download, I guess, the new skill set or connect to the other person in the other multiverse, but you have to do something, and sometimes it's just absurd, and this is where the comedy comes in. So these two guys are fighting the Michelle Yeoh character, and they need some new skills, so they hear from their handler, I guess, who's Jobu, or someone connected to Jobu, what they need to do. So for some reason, and this is, should we give it away or should we just leave it?
I don't know.
Somewhat vague. Anyway, they have to do something that would be very painful.
Something that made Richard wince.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. The way it's done in the film is just hilarious. Like, so yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it, and you'll find out what we're talking about. But yeah, you have to do something, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes in, because some of the stuff they have to do is just ridiculous. Yeah.
Like, wow, what don't they do?
I know it. Like, the first thing she has to do is just put her shoes on the wrong feet, and then just imagine she's in a janitor closet, and then there's one other thing that she had to do, and then all of a sudden she's transported to the first place, or connected to the first multiverse or whatever. And in a sense, she's seeing, which is, I guess, part of multiversal theory, she's seeing different possibilities for her life, like different life paths that could have been had she made another choice. Like, she had a dream of being an actress, and there's one universe where essentially it's a playoff of Michelle Yeoh's real career, where she learns martial arts and then gets into the movies by being really good at martial arts. And,
I get it now.
Yeah. So it's kind of a playoff of her own career. There's another where she's a blind singer, and then another where she's like a sushi chef. not sushi chef.
A
what do you call that?
Japanese steakhouse chef.
Oh, okay, yeah. Where they do the tricks and flip. There's none of the bits is just hilarious. They have a parody. You want to tell us about it?
A parody of Ratatouille called Raccoony.
Rakakuni.
Raccoony. The chef has a raccoon under his hat.
Oh, because like at first, like the Evelyn character, you think she's just getting it wrong. Like she's just saying ratatouille wrong, and it actually makes her daughter and husband laugh. And then you find out there is an actual Rakakuni in one of the universes. She walks in on one of her fellow chefs, and he's got a raccoon sitting on his head, pulling his hair, telling him what to do. So it's like this little animatronic puppet on his his head, like physical effect. So it's not CGI; it's an actual.
They
puppet.
don't even make it look like a real raccoon. It's great. I love it.
I know it's hilarious.
It takes me back to my childhood films of when things didn't have to look CGI perfect.
I know, like aside from the everything bagel, I don't think they use much CGI. Like, and then the brief view of the muscular Pinky.
And just the very brief second where the wheelchair grandpa runs over the daughter, but with his wheelchair.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they used it some. And it's a very subtle use, like where they did use
very
it,
subtle.
with the exception of the everything bagel, which is obviously CGI. But like otherwise, where they do use it,
Well,
it's
special
pretty subtle.
effects, maybe not CGI. I don't know. I'm not.
There's
You
a
think
lot
I'd understand this having gone to college for animation digital effects, but oh well.
Well, there was a lot of physical effects, and apparently the
Yeah.
guys who did the visual effects are self-taught. Like they like watched YouTube tutorials and stuff, and just kept experimenting. From what I hear, which I was like, well, dang, if they could do it,
Yeah.
I'm sure they had to work a lot though. That it's kind of like the guys from. You ever heard of the music group OK Go?
I have.
Have you seen any of their music videos? They're pretty amazing.
Well, if I'm thinking about the right band, I think I like one of their songs called Invincible. If I'm thinking about the right band, I could be confused.
So the music videos they're very intricately planned and in some cases like elaborate, and it just a lot of, I wouldn't call it trick photography necessarily, but like it's like these ridiculously elaborate sets and they're just like meticulously planned out. It's hard to explain it without showing it to you, but parts of this film reminded me of that, where the action pieces were just like the cinematography and everything was just very meticulously planned and executed. Yeah, and then some of the, like where she's like you're cycling through the multiverses, like I mean all that was just a series of stills, but sped up very fast, where it's just you know what I mean, like, but it's effective. It works. Like,
This is true. This is true.
I think the budget. I think they only spent like $14 million on it. Which for a movie like this is not that much. Like, and you could see it in some scenes, like the set design and stuff. You could see where there wasn't necessarily a huge budget, but because of the absurdist elements and the comedy, it's like it didn't really matter. Like, and it's just so good. It's like who cares? Like,
Yeah.
And it made 10 times its budget, so it was very successful. Like,
And
that sense.
And this movie was so fresh. I am so wore out of seeing superhero films.
Yeah.
And this was something new and different and fresh.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why there's such a strong reaction to it. Is like this. It's not quite like anything I've seen that I can think of. Like, it's kind of like if let me think, if we were to do any kind of comparison, it's kind of like if Memento and my brain just went. So I'm thinking of it reminded me of some things that the Wachowski, I guess sisters now, like had done. You know, back to like the Matrix and like. So like, there was a. Dang it. Okay, brain fart. Anyway, but yeah, it's the combination of elements, you know, was just very, very unique, and yeah, like I loved it. I loved it. It was great.
Me too.
So let's see. Should we? Let me see. Should we jump back in to the plot? We kinda jumped all over the place.
Do you want to jump to the emotional part, or do you want to talk? I guess we should do it from chronologically, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and we'll go off on tangents like we did just now, but like, let's see. So, in the present day, the laundromat is being audited by the Internal Revenue Service. Wayman is trying to serve Evelyn divorce papers in an attempt to get her attention so that they can talk about their marriage. I think he says at one point somebody from his church did it and said it worked. So he's trying something to get her attention because she's so caught up in like her business and her own, like, I guess, disillusionment at where her life has ended up, that she often misses what's right in front of her with her husband. And but Evelyn's, let's see, stern and demanding father, referred to as Gong, which is Cantonese for maternal grandfather. Oh, I thought that was actually his name at one point, Gong. No, I guess that's a Cantonese term. Okay, that makes more sense.
Huh.
So he's visiting for Chinese New Year party, and Joy is dealing with depression. So Joy is the daughter and has a strained relationship with her mother, which also includes Evelyn's reluctance to accept that Joy is a lesbian, as well as Joy's relationship with her non-Chinese girlfriend, Becky.
Yeah, you know, when I went to New York to see my Chinese would-be girlfriend, they probably were disappointed I was white too.
Yeah. Like, why you date white man? Like, is he going to be engineer? He going to be the doctor, lawyer?
Well, I'm glad that didn't work out.
Yeah. And I know that might sound a little racist, but I've heard from second-gen Asians that those are both very common things that Asian immigrant parents, you know, they push their kids to be doctors, to be lawyers, and they're very demanding, very, like, you know, performance-based in that sense. So they push their kids. You know, and for many of them, I'm sure it's like they want something better for their children. They want to build that life. It's part of the reason why they came over to the U.S., I guess, in many cases in the first place. But I like how I feel like this film dealt with that element really well between Evelyn and Joy. In fact, I guess in some sense, it's like the core of the film is the relationship between Evelyn and Joy, you know, and who we find out, spoiler warning, is, let me make sure I get this right, Jobu
Tupaki.
Alpha Joy.
From the musical Tupac's.
Yeah, Tupaki. So we find out that in a sense, you know, she is a villain, quote unquote, who has been driven to that or created in a sense by Alpha Evelyn. It's like her mind was splintered after Alpha Evelyn pushed her to extensively multiverse jump. And as a consequence, Jobu experiences all universes at once and can verse jump and manipulate matter at will. She has created a black hole-like everything bagel topped with literally everything, which appears as a toroid singularity that could destroy the multiverse. So, and you see that towards the end, especially, like it starts turning into more of like a black hole.
Yeah.
Singularity.
It ripped one guy's face off, and underneath that one guy's face was another guy's face.
I know.
The same guy.
It's like breaking the fabric of the multiverse or something.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it's symbolic of Joy's. I don't know if self-hatred's the right I'm sure that's in there, but just she's come to a point where she feels like nothing matters, basically. Like, she's seen everything. She's seen all the evil that people do. She's seen every possible path. Like, I think at one point they say, like, she doesn't have any morals anymore, doesn't believe in anything approaching objective truth, and, like, she's like, it's all just random chance, and she's essentially gone full nihilist, and the potential is there for her to bring the whole multiverse down that path, or that black hole, quite literally, with her. Yeah. It's pretty heavy stuff, but
it is.
Somehow they juxtapose that with the comedy in a way that just really, it works. Like, they make it works.
And a very family-centered message.
Yeah. Like, they, from what I know, and again, this is from what I've heard from second generation, people of Asian descent, whose parents immigrated over, like, they don't hear expressions of affection very often from their parents. Like, there's other ways, like kind of the cliche of, like, you're getting fat, you need to stop eating so much, like that, things like that. They'll say things like that where it's like, it's an expression of concern, but it comes off very judgmental, and it can often alienate the kids. But there's like a block there, and the parents often struggle to express affection for their kids, even though they have that, and they express it in other ways, and many times, like, but that's a source of tension, I think, from what I've heard for Asian immigrants and their kids. I don't know what that's like personally. Like, I didn't have parents that, like, pushed me super. I know some Asian, second gen Asian immigrants are not, the only people that experience that, but, like, those are the people that have parents that push. Sometimes out of love, sometimes more out of this, like, misplaced desire to live vicariously through their kids or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of both.
I'm sure that in some cases, most cases, I don't have a ratio, that a lot of parents, whether Chinese or not, just want their kids to be able to provide for themselves after they're gone.
Yeah, and that's hard, base level. I mean, you want your kids to survive, right?
Yeah.
You want your kids, I can certainly relate to that. Like, and this is something I loved about the film. Like, one of the core messages was, like, to put it somewhat crudely, we don't know what the fuck we're doing half the time. As humans, like, we don't know what we're doing half the time. Like, we feel lost a lot of times, and we're just trying to figure this out, and it's a mess, and we're a mess, and we often feel like that, and we struggle with shame over feeling that way, that, like, we're a mess, and, like, we feel like other people aren't as much of a mess as we are, and they're probably thinking the same thing. They're like, wow, he or she's got it more together than I do, and we're looking at them thinking the same thing, and social media probably hasn't helped that, because we're, like, presenting in many cases the best versions, or a particular version of ourselves that we want the world to see. And I
know I do Facebook.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about how I wasn't going to post this episode on Facebook because I said the word dong. Yeah.
Well, we do have an explicit rating on Apple Podcasts, which Spotify is different. Spotify allows you to rate specific episodes, so you can turn one episode as explicit if it has.
Oh, okay.
Like, if we say the F word in an episode, or dong.
Who's this we?
So like, obviously, if parents have, like, their app set up to block explicit content, the kids aren't going to hear that episode, you know. But for some reason with Apple, like, you have to set it up at the podcast level, so our entire podcast is set at the explicit rating, even if we have an episode that doesn't have anything quote unquote explicit, it would still get blocked by the filter if you had it turned on. But Spotify is cool where it allows you to do it episode by episode, so I can set that when I'm uploading it. It's like, okay, yeah, this one's got F words in it, or just very mature content, whatever, you know. This one doesn't. But anyway.
Well, you know,
I got distracted.
That would be really awkward. Never thought about that, how we do things like review the Super Mario Brothers movie and Spider-Verse if we have like kids listening to us.
Well, yeah, that's where,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the parents to monitor that if they've got young kids listening to podcast apps. If the parents aren't monitoring that at all, the kids could still hear it potentially. But
Hey, Mom and Dad, we're talking about dogs.
But yeah, honestly, I'm not that worried. To me, if, you know...
I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm very loose tonight.
You know, if kids hear someone, like, let out an F word every now and then, to me, that's not that big a deal. What is a lot different is if you're, like, getting on there and ranting and, like, tearing people down.
Yeah,
and
that's
cursing
true.
people and, like...
Nerds, we would love to find out who is on the other side of the microphone. There are multiple options by which you can connect with us. Our Instagram handle is @irreverent_nerds. We are on Facebook and YouTube as simply The Irreverent Nerds. Makes sense, right? And of course, we are on your podcast app. If you listen on Spotify, scroll down through the episode description and you will see a question. What did you think of this episode? We welcome your feedback, including your constructive criticism. We also post episode-specific polls and questions from time to time on Spotify, so please feel free to jump in and give us your 2 cents. All right, nerds, I've talked enough. Let's get back to this week's episode.
Like, stubbing your toe and yelling fuck is very different than being like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
true.
Like, you're cursing someone, you're wishing ill on that person or harm to come to them, versus just like an interjection of like, it's like, ah! And you just stub your toe and it comes out, you know, involuntarily.
And I guess the reason why I'm not super uncomfortable with rubber phalluses is because I work for... Am I allowed to say who I work for? Would that get me in trouble, you think?
Let's just say
let's not
the
do
company
that.
you work for accepts donations. We'll just,
So I'm a...
from all different people of different walks of life.
Oh, forget it. You can look at it on my Facebook profile. I'm not going to say it here, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I'm pretty sure they don't want me to represent them while I'm using the dong word. But we see those at work sometimes. People donate them. Sometimes we find them outside our work locations and we're like, what happened here last night?
Somebody just like dumps a bunch of dildos or something. They're like, I'm done with dildos.
Yeah, I had this phone call at work years ago when I used to work in one of the warehouses. And the guy was like, I have 42... I know. Rubber phalluses. And I have to stop using the other word. I think that the other word, also Wang,
It's like,
I think that's a funny word. They're
just
funny
Wong.
words, but
It's
yeah,
just Wong.
it is. So
Like,
he
what
called.
is this, like an orgy of lonely women? Like, what in the world? Why would
so
you
he
have
called
so
me.
many?
He said he has 42 of these things, and does my organization accept his donations? And I'm just like, I have no idea, sir. Let me call my manager.
Maybe it was like a store going out of business or something, you know.
No,
like
I actually asked him. I said, when I called him back after I talked with my manager to tell him, no, we don't take those. We're a family-friendly organization.
Yeah.
I was like, why do you have so many anyway? And he was like, man, my girlfriend's a freak. Then a donor pulls up and I'm like, I have to go now.
Holy cow. Oh man.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I apologize for being desensitized to these
Regardless
things.
of how you feel about that, I would not want to accept somebody's
No,
used dildo. It's like,
you would be
what the
surprised
heck?
what kind of things people donate to us.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah,
Um,
the things that should not be getting donated.
and they used to. I don't know if this, but I've seen this at similar establishments. But I used to see underwear sold, and I'm like, who the hell would be buying used underwear?
Well, I can certainly say I don't think I've ever seen, even though people donate used underwear to us all the time, I don't think I've ever seen it for sale in any of our stores. So.
Yeah, it's not sanitary.
Yeah.
Like, no, who would want to buy that?
Especially since we don't clean.
Yeah, I know.
This
This
branch of
establishment.
the organization doesn't wash or clean anything. I can't say that about all the sister organizations.
Well, yeah, I mean, so much stuff's come through. Like, imagine how much time that would take.
Yeah, exactly.
To clean everything. It's like, no, you leave that up to the customers at the back end. Like, they gotta take care of it themselves when they buy it. You know, it's like,
I had a pal who, you know who you are, man, who told me one time that his pants ripped while he was out and about, so he jumped into a Goodwill right quick, bought a new pair of pants, and walked straight out of the dressing room. And I was like, "You have no idea where those came from. Don't do that. You don't know where they've been."
oh man. By the way, we make no claim to speak for them or any other organization. Everything we say is our own opinion and nothing more.
I signed a piece of paper that said that I do not represent this organization outside of work
Yeah.
on the internet.
No, which is, I think, is as it should be. Unfortunately, a lot of companies nowadays are like firing people because of things they say outside of work. But
That's
yeah,
just
that's another topic for another time.
It's just a good thing that I'm not connected with most people on Facebook that work there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and read the rest of this plot, and then we'll kind of just talk about where we want to talk about in these last 10 minutes or so. So just so you guys know the rest of it, those of you, because one of the reasons I like this kind of format for podcasts, like the reasons like I myself, long before I ever made my own, is like if I've seen a movie and it's been a while, and I just want to revisit it, with some people that are just having a good time talking about it, and they go through the plot, and it's like there's some people that do such a good job like going back through the plot in an entertaining way that it's almost like, and you're remembering the film like as you're listening, and you could be doing other things like doing dishes or laundry or manual labor or whatever, and you're kind of revisiting the film without having to sit down and watch the whole thing. You're kind of like revisiting it. It's also like you're hanging out with friends and talking. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's kind of the vibe that we give. I know we have our nights where we're like tired and depressed, but like,
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling people are going to laugh at this podcast.
I hope so. I hope they enjoy it. And this film
Laugh
definitely
with
got
us.
us in that mood because it's hilarious. All right, well let's finish this plot here and then we'll wrap up this episode. So let's see. Gong Gong, okay, is visiting her for Chinese New Year party. So Evelyn is reluctant to accept that Joy is a lesbian, as well as the fact that, which I didn't really pick up on this, but Joy has a relationship with a non-Chinese girlfriend. So,
There was this one comment in the film early on about her being white, so I picked up on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that, but makes sense. Let's see. At a tense meeting with IRS Inspector Deidre Bubidra. That's great. Waymond's body is taken over by Alpha Waymond, a version of Waymond from the Alphaverse. Alpha Waymond explains to Evelyn that many parallel universes exist because every life choice creates a new alternate universe. The Alphaverse, led by the late Alpha Evelyn, developed verse-jumping technology, which enables people to access the skills, memories, and bodies of their parallel selves by performing bizarre actions that are statistically unlikely, like jumping on pointy objects, and
Yep.
yeah. I'll leave the rest up to your imagination.
I need a verse jumper to jump into a universe where I'm successful and I'm not on a podcast talking about rubber phalluses.
Why, you don't think this is successful, Will? The multiverse is threatened by Jobu Tupaki, Alpha Joy, whose mind was splintered after Evelyn pushed her to extensively verse jump. Jobu experiences all universes at once and can verse jump and manipulate matter at will. She has created a black hole like everything bagel topped with literally everything. Evelyn is given verse jumping technology to fight Jobu's minions, who converged on the IRS building. She discovers other universes in which she made different choices and flourished, such as becoming a kung fu master and film star, i.e. Michelle Yao. She also learns of Wayman's plans with the divorce papers. Alpha Wayman believes that Evelyn is the greatest quote-unquote failure of all Evelyns in the multiverse, has the untapped potential to defeat Jobu. And I think I wrote this down. He quite literally... All right, let me get this right. What does he say? You are capable of anything because you're so bad at everything. Unquote. Right after that, I wrote down Juju Chewbacca, big nose fight scene with a Pomeranian.
That poor Pomeranian.
Oh my goodness. So, tangent. There's two. I mean, so many of the fight scenes are hilarious, but the very first martial arts scene, you have Alpha Waymond in, I don't know, we'll call him Prime Waymond's body. Takes over Prime Waymond's body, and let's just say there's a lot of action involving a fanny pack.
And I kept wondering if that was Jackie Chan or not, and I really don't think it was.
It looked like it was really the actor. Certainly they had a lot of cuts and but it looked like at quite a few points that it was the actor doing it.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he's been studying martial arts himself.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this actor, I guess he was acting up till 2002 and then had retired. So he'd been retired for like 20 years. Oh. But he got his start in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom as the little kid.
Really? Is that him?
That's him.
Man, we're probably all going to be very disappointed at the next Indiana Jones film. We'll find out.
I don't know.
But
I liked most of the last one, with the exception of a couple of ridiculous parts, like Shia LaBeouf swinging on vines with monkeys. That was ridiculous. But actually, I kind of liked the multi-dimensional beings subplot. I thought that was interesting.
So we're going to spoil multiple movies now.
Yeah, well, that one's been out for, 13 years?
I'm just saying a lot of people wanted the kid from Temple of Doom to come back, and he didn't. That's too bad.
And the new one?
Yeah.
Or the newer one? Unless he makes a cameo at some point.
Well, as far as I know, he didn't come back for it. Well, that would have been interesting.
That would have been cool. Yeah, unless they do, because I know they're doing the de-aging technology with Harrison Ford for some of the scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it'd be kind of hard to de-age all the way back to a kid, though.
No.
They'd have to do the deepfake tech instead, probably, for that, which they can do. It's you can still tell that it's not quite real, but it's getting creepier and creepier how realistic it is. Like, bring dead actors dead actors back to life, so to speak, and or make actors look much younger, like they did with Luke Skywalker, aka Mark Hamill, now in the Mandalorian series. That was using deepfake technology.
And we're getting highly off track, but yes. I hear there's a Mandalorian movie coming out.
Yes.
And rumors suggest that it'll heavily star Luke Skywalker, de-aged. But that's just rumors. All I can say is, if they can put this de-aging, deepfake technology to good use, all I want is some more films with the original characters.
That would be great.
It would be great.
Yeah, a little creepy, but
follow the Legends novels. But that's a conversation for a different podcast, I guess.
Yeah, different episode. Let's see. Okay, getting back on here. Alpha Women believes that Evelyn has the untapped potential to defeat Jobu. Gong is taken over by Alpha Gong, who instructs Evelyn to kill Joy to stop Jobu from using her to enter Evelyn's universe. Evelyn refuses and decides to face Jobu by gaining powers through repeated verse jumping. Alpha Gong, convinced that Evelyn's mind has been compromised like Jobu's, sends soldiers after Evelyn. While they fight, Jobu locates and kills Alpha Waymond in the Alphaverse. As Jobu confronts Evelyn in her universe, Evelyn's mind splinters and she collapses. So, Evelyn uncontrollably verse jumps alongside Jobu across bizarre and diverse universes. Jobu reveals she does not want to fight at all, but that instead she has been searching for an Evelyn who can see, as she does, that nothing matters, while killing the Evelyns that do not agree with her. So I thought that was an interesting point, like with the mother-daughter element, that she, in a sense, that's almost like a cry of like she wants her mom to notice her, she wants her mom to empathize with her. And I thought that was really important, I think, to the plot. Although it gets a little dark, obviously, because in a sense it's like she's wanting her mom to also... They don't quite say that it's suicide, but they kind of hint that it's that, wanting her mom to like go into oblivion with her. And she doesn't care if she takes the whole multiverse down at the same time, which is obviously very dark.
Yeah. So I have a more realistic question.
Yeah.
After everything Jobu does, is Joy responsible for that? Or I had this question like prepared in my brain earlier, but I feel like I'm getting tired, so I'm losing steam. But this has been a good podcast.
Yeah, well, I think it was kind of like yes and no. As Jobu says, like that she is Joy and Joy is her, so there's like the potential to be Jobu in a sense is inside of Joy. But Joy herself, obviously in her universe, doesn't actively do that. So it's like, can you be held responsible for things done by a counterpart? And I would say no. I mean, that wouldn't make sense to me. Like why would you be held? Why should you be held responsible for something your multiversal counterpart did? Although in a sense it's you, because it like as a branch off with other decisions that could have been made. But yeah. But it's not you at the same time. So yeah. So if you're asking either or, then I would say yes.
Yes.
It's both, sort of. So let's see. So, Joy brings Evelyn to the Everything Bagel, explaining that she wants to use it to allow herself and Evelyn to truly die. Upon looking, so it is suicide, essentially. Upon looking into the bagel, Evelyn is initially persuaded and acts cruelly and nihilistically in her other universes, hurting those around her. As Evelyn is about to enter the bagel with Jobu, she pauses to listen to Waymond's pleas in her universe. This is like the Prime universe. Or no. Actually, I was a little confused on that point. I think there was like the offshoot universe or something where they were still in the laundromat. And then there's another one where they were in the IRS building. So I got a little confused as to which one was supposed to be Prime.
You mean Evelyn's original dimension?
Yeah, like the one we start with.
Well,
I think it's the one where she stabs her husband.
Yeah.
Is the Prime, so to speak.
And we don't know what happens to the Prime universe because she, at the end of the film, she chooses to inhabit the body of a slightly off-kilter dimension where she decided to do her taxes and not get involved with these shenanigans.
Yeah, it's... If there's any detractions of the film, there's a few plot points that get a little confusing. But maybe they make more sense with a second watch.
Probably.
But it's not. It wasn't that distracting. Like it made enough sense. I think within the logic of the film, that's like, it's not that big a deal. Like if you don't get hung up on the minutiae. Let's see. So as Evelyn, so she listens to his pleas, even when life, to stop fighting and instead be kind. So he emphasizes that a lot. Like he asks her, like, please be kind. And one of his counterparts in another universe talks about how, it may seem on the outside that he's not a fighter. But he's like, but he is, and this is how he fights. He fights with kindness. And I thought that was a very profound statement to make. And he ends up influencing Evelyn as well to change the way that she fights.
I actually really like that point.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful. It's like the hope is just as powerful. Like the hope for the best in people, I guess. The choosing kindness over violence or over cruelty. I thought that was a really beautiful point to the film.
Choosing dominatrix over violence.
Yeah, that was a little awkward.
I'm being bad again. Watch the movie, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Let's see. So Evelyn has, so the way they describe it in Wikipedia, has an existentialist epiphany and decides to follow Wayman's absurdist and humanist advice, using her multiverse powers to fight with empathy, and brings happiness to those around her. In doing so, she repairs her damage in the other universes and neutralizes Alpha Gong and Jobu's fighters. In her home universe, Evelyn reconciles with Waymond, accepts Joy and Becky's relationship, and tells Gong of it, and talks with Deirdre after Waymond convinces Deirdre to let them redo their taxes. Jobu decides to enter the bagel alone, while simultaneously in Evelyn's universe, Joy begs Evelyn to let her go. Evelyn tells Joy that even when nothing makes sense, and even though she could be anywhere else in the multiverse, she would always want to be with Joy. Evelyn and the others save Jobu from the bagel, and Evelyn and Joy embrace. Sometime later, when the family's relationships improved, they return to the IRS building to refile their taxes. As Deirdre talks, Evelyn's attention is momentarily drawn to her alternative selves before she grounds herself back in her home universe. End scene.
So, now that I think about it, there are a few plot holes that don't get resolved. But that's probably because we're not meant to know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes filmmakers very deliberately don't resolve things, like at the end of Inception. I loved how Inception ended. It's like you don't know whether the top is going to fall or not. It's like, and then cutscene. Some people hated it because they wanted the resolution either way, and I kind of loved it. I was like, they leave it up to you. Like you make up your own ending. I was like,
cool.
Although this
cool.
wasn't exactly like that though. So you're saying more there's some things that didn't get tied up.
Well, what happened to Alpha Joy? Jobu, what happened? She killed both of her parents. What happened
when
to
she
her?
goes back to her.
Yeah, what happened to the Alpha Dimension? Does Evelyn Prime go to prison? And the husband for being basically some sort of terrorist to an IRS building.
Oh, because he's taken over by Alpha Waymond at different points?
Yeah. I mean, just the sheer chaos happening there.
Well, did those happen in different universes, though? I feel like they did. Like, the fight. Oh, I don't know.
Well,
that was a little confusing of, like...
Evelyn's home universe was the universe that Alpha Waymond pops into, does kung fu with security guards.
Yeah.
And at the end, there's a big donut.
In the IRS building.
All in the IRS building.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other one where she has the conversation with Joy is like very similar offshoot
Yeah.
where she still went to the U.S. and immigrated there and still ran a laundromat and still had similar issues, but made some slightly different choices, I guess.
I think maybe the only choice was that she actually got her. She didn't actually get her taxes done, but she certainly didn't. Okay, the one difference was that she didn't choose to punch Deidre in the face. I think that was the deciding factor. But she escaped to that slightly offshoot dimension. That's where we find her at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Instead of actually being in the, I call it Evelyn Prime's dimension, but.
Yeah, so listeners, let us know what you think of how that ended. Like, did we end up at the end in the same universe that we began in, or was it slightly different part of the multiverse? Yeah. Seems like it was, because there was a branch there. Like you said, at the point where she decides either to get actively involved or just to go home and do her taxes, kind of thing. Yeah. Although she still decides not to go back to she doesn't make it back to the IRS, even in that one, which is why they come to, repossess or possess, however they take her properties and stuff. Like, yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? Like, you got audited and they come and take your business and your home, which the IRS has the power to do that. It's kind of scary.
I'm not sure if an auditor would come with the police though to seize it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if the auditor would be there or not, but
no.
But the police, I guess, would have to come. Yeah, because they would have to evict you and get you out, and be ready to forcibly do so if necessary. Yeah, that would really suck.
Yeah, it would.
Well, anyway, I guess we'll wrap this up. We've gone past our hour, so guys, we highly recommend this film. Everything, Everywhere at Once is, with the exception of maybe a couple little plot holes or strings that didn't get tied up, this is about as close to perfect film. So yeah, 4.75 nerd hats from both of us for this. And yeah, if you haven't seen it yet and you've listened to this, well, you've spoiled yourself, but I think you'll enjoy it anyway. And if you have already seen it, and let us know what you think of our thoughts, and let us know you can let us know in the comments on our Instagram, or you can drop us a line through Spotify. If you listen through Spotify, there's a Q&A at the end of every episode, or it says, "What did you think of the episode?" And you have a chance to offer your thoughts there. So, coming up next week, we are going to be interviewing, well, not interviewing so much as like having him back on as a return guest, artist Elijah Miller. He's going to be updating us on how his career is going in art and how his graphic novel is coming along. And we're also just going to be talking about comics, because it is comic book week. This was sci-fi week. Obviously, next week is comic book week, and then we'll have animation week after that, or animation. And then movie of the month. And that, I believe with the movie of the month episode, that will end season 3 of our podcast. That'll be episode 25 of season 3, which will put an end to that season. We're going to do, the goal is do 2 seasons a year. Basically, we'll do 25 episodes, take a week off, do 25 more, take a week off, kind of that. However long we end up doing this, who knows? Who knows where we'll go?
Dun dun dun.
So yeah, nerds, thanks for listening, and until next time,
sayonara.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at @irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at The Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, The Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm, profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us. We would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.